Welcome everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you, and we are going to do some peptides videos as promised. Today we're going to talk about GHRP-2, but before we get into that, just a big shout out and thank you to everybody out there supporting the channel. I cannot thank you enough. The likes, the shares, the subs. If you haven't yet, please do all of those things. It helps the channel to grow just at crazy amounts. Those little things really truly help, so please do if you can. Also, today's video is sponsored by letsgetchecked.com. Letsgetchecked.com specializes in at-home blood testing, and they are the kings at-home blood testing. All you have to do, go to the website, letsgetchecked.com. Order whatever blood tests you want. They send you a kit in the mail. You then produce the sample, send it back to them. You can overnight it. You can do priority shipping right back to them. It's quick, it's efficient, it's discreet. You're going to get your results very fast. There's doctors and nurses there to help you constantly with any questions that you might have. And on top of that, use the code Gemelli30 and save 30% off. Letsgetchecked.com. Check them out. Get all your blood work done. Now, let's talk about GHRP-2. I've been promising peptide videos, and I'm going to really make it a point to try to get these out there every week or every other week for you, because I know there's a lot of people wanting to learn more, and so I'm going to get into it. I have a lot of background here, not quite to the extent of SARMs and anabolics, but I definitely have been studying peptides for a very long time as well. So let's kind of dig into that. Now, GHRP-2 is actually what's called a hexapeptide, and it's a pure growth hormone secretagogue. And we've heard secretagogue before, which is like MK677 and things like that. Now, GHRP-2 is also what you would call a synthetic agonist of ghrelin. Now, unlike GHRP-6, it doesn't bring on the amount of like drastic hunger that GHRP-6 does, and kind of similarly to MK677. So some people are going to notice a little bit of an increase in hunger, but nowhere near to that extent. So don't get too worried about that. Now, somewhere in between GHRP-6 and ipamorelin, number 2 has the ability to be a very serious contender when you're considering which GHRP to use with your GHRH. Now, GHRP and GHRH mean growth hormone releasing peptide and growth hormone releasing hormone. Sorry, it's tongue twisting. Unlike number 6, number 2 does not come with like a really heavy hunger side effect, like I said, but it still maintains all the benefits of activating ghrelin. So I'm going to explain to you why ghrelin is actually so important for, the growth hormone releasing peptide itself. Now, ghrelin is what you would call a regulatory GH secretion that's produced inside your stomach, and it's largely regulated by a person's nutritional intake. There's studies out there that have shown that ghrelin increases during times of fasting and when you're anticipating meals coming in. All right. This is the main reasons why the users of GHRP-6 are going to experience extreme hunger, because what it's doing is it's actually mimicking the effects of ghrelin, acting as if the stomach is in a state of fasting. Now, number 2 does the same, but chemists were able to dial back the severity of the hunger sides that come along with GHRP-2. Now, it's not to say that it won't increase hunger in most people, because it certainly can, and oftentimes it does. Now, how does it work? So, the single polypeptide chain composed of 6 amino acid is a growth hormone releasing peptide. Now, GHRP-2 not only functions to stimulate the ghrelin release that I talked about, but also works to actually correct production of low-level growth hormone. So simply put, it is perfectly designed with the intention of actually releasing human growth hormone from the pituitary gland. So these mechanisms have been shown to actually produce lean body gains in lean body individuals. Now, since GHRP-2 is a ghrelin agonist, it's going to help to actually promote the secretion of human growth hormone in a twofold process. So one, it acts to boost growth hormone through amplification of the transduction pathway. In addition, it suppresses the action of somatostatin, which is a growth hormone which limits the actual release of growth hormone. And these actions make GHRP-2 a perfect option to increase endogenous growth hormone levels. Now let's talk about dosing and using and things like that. Just like other peptides, it's going to come in a lyophilized powder. Now it's got to be stored in a very cool and dry place, and it needs to be reconstituted with bacteriostatic water that's meant for injection. Now, once it's been reconstituted, it has to be kept in a cold storage like the refrigerator until it's ready to be used. Now, normally it's going to be used 2 to 3 times a day, around 100 to 300 micrograms per injection. Now, with other GHRPs as well, it's highly advisable for you to use a GHRH in order to maximize the effectiveness of the actual pulse wave combination in accessing the pituitary pathway to release growth hormone. Now, let's talk about side effects. The hunger side effect I've stated now several times. It can also come with elevated levels of cortisol and prolactin, which a lot of peptides can. And especially when you get in that higher range and that, like, when you're going over 200 micrograms per injection, expect that type of thing. You could feel some lethargy, which is common with peptides. Especially at first, you could get some water retention, some tingling, some numbness. You could have even some decreased insulin sensitivity as well. These are all things that you got to be aware of. You need to get blood work done. Prolactin, especially with a lot of peptides, it gets there. So you may want to be taking vitamin B6 while you're taking it anyway, which is a natural thing, element that's going to help you to control or mitigate prolactin problems. I don't think it would ever be a bad idea anytime you're running anything that can increase prolactin to have Caber or Promi on hand. I'm not saying that you're going to have to use it, but have it there just in case. Vitamin B6, just dose your normal daily standard dose that comes along the bottle. You don't want to go excessive with that. You never want to go excessive with vitamins and things like that because they can have a adverse effect. So don't do that. Just run it normal. Get your blood work done beforehand. Make sure that you're well within ranges, and then do it again in a few, depending on how long you're running it, at least, a good, I like to say 50% of the way. It depends on how long you're going with it, though. So, 30 to 50% in, you should be able to tell, if you're getting elevated prolactin levels, and then other areas that need to be, checked upon and monitored as well. Now, one of the most common positive effects that you're going to get with it is decreased body fat. You can also get some increased lean body mass, like I had said, some improved sleep, an increase in IGF-1 production, increase in bone density, increase in cellular repair. It has its good and bad to it, but it should also be taken into consideration when you compare it to hexarelin or GHRP-6. It's actually the mildest of them all next to ipamorelin. So if you're looking for some anti-aging properties or the ability to increase lean body mass, or even as a bridge in between cycles, I think GHRP-2 is a good choice to help you on that path. It's a really potent growth hormone releasing peptide. Just be advised, it has side effects like I covered. It's not going to shut down your natural production of growth hormone, though. So with a proper diet, really good training, strict, consistent discipline, this is a really good option. One of the things about peptides is they're not quite like as more drastic as SARMs are, and then SARMs aren't nearly as drastic as steroids. So it just kind of goes on a scale here. I really like SARMs stacked with peptides and a lot of options that you could go with, but most peptides, if you really want to get the most out of them, and you could argue this with SARMs, while a lot of SARMs you can do quite well running them singularly, they're obviously a lot better when stacked. Peptides really, really, really are a lot better when stacked. And really, as long as you got two of them going, they kind of feed off of each other. And I'll cover some different stacks that are commonly used. I'm not going to get into that now because that's really not the focus of this video. But what I'll do is I'll make a video that just talks about some good stacks and some good peptides that kind of go well with each other. And we'll cover that as well because I want to make sure that, I'm not just throwing out terms here, which I guess I'm kind of doing on this, with the GHRH and GHRPs, and I need to do probably a breakdown of all of those things. I've done a peptide video in general that you can refer to, but I'll cover some cycles for everybody as well. So that, my friends, is GHRP-2. We're going to just keep pumping out some peptide videos as I can go and get more of that information out to you. So I will keep them coming. Just keep liking, subbing, and sharing, helping the channel to grow. That being said, stay tuned for plenty more to come. Dylan Gemelli, signing off.